you are right now the CEO of, I would say, one of the biggest projects, at least in Karnataka, in Bangalore, I would say.
No, I think it is one of the biggest integrated townships of the country.
Your father played a major role in the 1971 Bangladesh partition, correct? And he is in that main picture that is so celebrated that people love to see whenever, that the conversation comes up.
I don't think a successful person is smarter than a failure. See, it's like a cloth. If you have a cloth and you hold it to kind of tear it apart, you can't tear it apart.
Right.
But if you even put a little bit of cut with a knife or a scissor, then you tear it apart and it tears it deep down.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it is only one thing wrong that you have to do, and then it leads to multiple wrong things.
Hello, Bio family, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Barely Opinionated show. In this one, we have Mr. Ashwinder, a hidden gem in the real estate and financial services domain, who's currently the CEO of Bhartiya City, one of India's best integrated townships located in Bangalore. We talk about his inspirational journey of starting in financial services and moving to real estate, the real estate industry in India and how we can leverage it, and the government's move to privatize a lot of infrastructure projects. We also get into his personal life and the struggles he faced in his childhood after his father, late Col Sirinder Raj Singh, who supervised the final surrender of arms in the 1971 war against Pakistan, martyred in the line of duty. This conversation is a motivation and a testament of what hard work and dedication can do for someone. So strap in and let's just jump into it. Hi Ashwinder.
Hi, Rohit.
Nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure is all mine.
So you are a pioneer in a lot of things, but majorly real estate side of things, right? I saw your profile. First of all, you are one of the oldest person we have had on the podcast in terms of the professional career, right? You have a career spanning almost 25 years, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, 26 to be precise.
26 to be precise. First of all, how did you get into the real estate space?
I don't know. Man proposes, God disposes. I started as a banker. And, when real estate was getting institutionalized, I met some private equity and venture capital, partners, and they were looking at somebody who was from an organized sector. And I was kind of a co-founder of the first PropTech company in India, which was called India Homes, where we raised around, in those days in 2012, 13, 14, around $25 million. And I sometimes proudly say, or at least people say that, I was one of the pioneers who institutionalized property sales in India. So that's how, the journey began.
That's very interesting. So you are right now the CEO of, I would say, one of the biggest projects, at least in Karnataka, in Bangalore, I would say.
No, I think it is one of the biggest integrated townships of the country.
Oh, really?
And it is one of the most celebrated townships of the country. It is one of the most design-led townships, which is now fully functional and very well appreciated, not just in India, but across the world, South Asia included. So it is amongst one of the largest and the most decorated townships.
How did you get into Bhartiya City's ecosystem?
Well, as when I got into real estate, I have been quite lucky because I think, it's not about so much of planning, but because of my banking experience, I was the CEO of GLL Residential in India, which is a Fortune 500 company. Then in my entrepreneurial stint, I was the co-founder and the first CEO of Anarock, which is India's largest and most successful real estate startup. From there, I moved on to head Bajaj Housing Finance as the group head for both retail lending as well as wholesale lending.
Wow.
And that is when I realized that I've been on the demand side, on the funding side, and maybe there is no one in the industry at a CEO level who would have done these operating leadership roles hands-on. And that's when an opportunity came, and I thought that if I kind of get an experience with the developer, especially this kind of large development, it kind of rounds me up. And I understand real estate, residential in particular, 360 degree. So that's how it was not an easy decision, because as it is moving to real estate from banking, it is like moving from the most organized sector to the most unorganized sector back then in 2012.
Right.
Now the sector is still more organized, and a lot of people felt that, I've gone mad. My family was also not too keen that I move into real estate, and that too into institutional broking. Nobody knew, how things are. And I was in Delhi, which as it is has a reputation. I don't know how true or false, but so it's been quite a journey. And maybe because of my professional background and my understanding of deep finance and P&L, I kind of got that edge over others, because the best talent in the industry always went to, banking, technology, FMCG, and real estate never got the best talent from even leading MBA institutes. So maybe that is where I got an advantage, and that is why I moved to Bhartiya City, because it completed me as a real estate professional.
That's very interesting. But as a common man who doesn't have a lot of exposure, at least in the real estate space, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers, the whole idea of this podcast is to bring out things that people don't see on camera, right? Whenever we talk about real estate, whenever we talk about such big projects, there are so many minute things, not just minute, there are so many micro and macro things that affect the whole project, right? Especially, there are things that are done off the books as well in such cases. Is there anything that you could maybe share with the audience that, we don't know about?
See, first of all, your question is very good. I'm really impressed, Rohit, because real estate is the most complicated business because of the number of SKUs. So if there are, just for an example, if there are 100 SKUs in a car, there are 10,000 SKUs.
For the audience, could you please explain SKUs?
SKUs means different parts.
Correct.
Like from a nail to a bolt to cement to steel to all the kind of things that are used to kind of create a product. Right?
Right.
Development is very complicated, and doing things on the books and off the books is generally a choice. I have always believed that, shortcuts actually kind of shortchange you.
Right.
And if you follow the right process, in the long run, you are far more faster than the others. I have till date not compromised on my principles, and that also holds true because I come from a risk background. I did some 12 years with Citibank. I worked with Fullerton, which is Government of Singapore company. I worked with Deutsche Bank, ICICI Bank, JLL, which is a Fortune 500 company. So I was the values and the ethics and the integrity was ingrained so deep in me,
right,
that I never found it important to kind of shortchange a process or try and do something which you have to regret later. And I have benefited from that, to be very honest. See, it's like a cloth. If you have a cloth and you hold it to kind of tear it apart, you can't tear it apart.
Right.
But if you even put a little bit of cut with a knife or a scissor, then you tear it apart and it tears it deep down.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it is only one thing wrong that you have to do, and then it leads to multiple wrong things.
I love that analogy.
And till the time you don't have that cut, you can't cut that cloth. But the moment you have a little bit of cut, the whole cloth is torn away. So you have to decide, because it's not grey.
That's very interesting. But your history, even before getting into real estate, is, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and I noticed that within your 6 years of professional experience, you had already climbed up the ladder pretty quickly. What is that like? Especially, we are talking about like early 2000s, correct?
Yes.
2005,
yes,
2006.
Yes.
What was it like? What was it like back then? Because the stories that I have, I'm 25 years old, right? So when you were doing that, I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade, right? So I don't know much about it, but what I've heard is that the corporate life at that point was very, very different from what it is now. The rules back then was not as stringent. Your bosses were strict. Were you one of those? What is your experience like?
You're asking some very relevant questions, and First of all, I don't think a successful person is smarter than a failure. Number one. It is a function of multiple things that end up playing in favor of you. I pity those people who think, they are smarter than others and that is why they are successful, because that's not the case. It is all about stars. Coming down to the execution part, I was in Citibank. I was one of the very few people who was not from an IM background, who was not a graduate from Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi, or an XLRI. And a lot of people used to look down upon me and they used to find me an outsider. And as luck would have it, I don't know where all those people are, but I'm definitely very happy doing what I'm doing, and I'm thankful to God for the success that I've got. But I think, success is very relative and we can talk about it later. At that point in time, I just kept on giving my best. And maybe I thought that people worked very hard when they were cracking their IMs and CAT. And it's time for me to work as hard, so that when they are kind of resting on their laurels of their background and their degrees, let me work hard and kind of try and see if I can really do as well as they do or even better. And as luck would have it, I had some great mentors who were obviously from the best of institutes. And they kind of recognized my talent. And they figured out that my strength was more on execution.
Right.
And I did not use too much of mind in asking why and why not, because I trusted their experience and their knowledge. And I focused on execution. I don't believe in perfection. I believe in execution, because life is not perfect.
Correct.
So if life and nature is not perfect, why should you go after perfection? And I focused on execution and I got the results. And I was lucky to be surrounded by seniors and colleagues who kind of figured out that, I have something special in me. And I rose up very quickly in the corporate ladder at that point in time.
But again, coming back to what was corporate life back then like?
Corporate life was very tough, very stringent. Bosses were very tough.
Okay, what I've heard is bosses were abusing you because you were not meeting your
Actually,
targets.
bosses abuse today also.
But they can't do it like
they do it openly. Unfortunately, if you look at the banking and financial services sector, it is the toughest sector. But yes, the environments were toxic then, the environments are toxic today. But employees are so afraid that most of the people would not kind of come out and kind of express it openly. And today's generation can decide, okay, I don't like this environment and I'll move out of it. But let me tell you, nothing has changed. See, in 1920s also, if you see a movie, people were saying, Zamana badal raha hai. In 1970s also, people are saying, Zamana badal raha hai. And now also they are saying, Zamana bahut badal raha hai. So, Zamana hamesha hi badal raha tha. And unfortunately, Zamana badla nahi hai. Log badal gaye hai, and wherever people get an opportunity, they try and flex their muscles. Maybe the means have become different. But a mature person back then also was not abusive. Today is also not abusive. Somebody whose success has gone to his head, or we saw this LinkedIn thing where this HDFC Bank guy has been kind of suspended. So tell me, where has things changed? Things have not changed. The perception has changed. And that is why they say perception is reality. There were good people back then. There are good people today. And there are weirdos which are, which were back then and which are there today.
Interesting. Very interesting. I want to go again, step back more to your childhood, right? Now, we're probably going to put this picture on the screen as well. Your father played a major role in the 1971 Bangladesh partition, correct? And he is in that main picture that is so celebrated that people love to see whenever, that the conversation comes up. Do you remember that part of your father's life, or do you remember what it was like for you to see your father be in the armed forces?
See, that happened in 1971. You're right. My father is a legendary army officer. He was the only Indian army officer who was supervising the surrender of arms. When the chief of army staff of Pakistan Army, General Niazi, was putting down his arms and along with his men. I was not even born then. I was born in 74, that is 71. Yes, I'm very proud and fortunate that he's my father. Unfortunately, I got to spend very less time with him because I was only 17 and he had joined the United Nations and we lost him in action in Cambodia. And it's been almost 32 years since he's died. But the only thing I'm very grateful about is that I've kept him alive, and a lot of his friends, colleagues, they say that it doesn't look like it's been 32 years, he's no more, but because of the work that he did. And maybe he always wanted to die like that. And I'm very proud of it because, there is nothing more important than your country, than your nation, because this is what gives us our true identity, the freedom in the way we live. And maybe we are very fortunate that we are in India. As the next 10 years, maybe we are one of the most developed countries in the world and the top 3 economies in the world. And the armed forces have played a very critical role. And within armed forces, I think my father was fortunate enough to have played a key role in the sovereignty and the freedom of our country. And yes, I remember him almost every day because, whenever people are talking to me, they also know that I'm son of a very amazing army officer who sacrificed his life for the country. And that's an inherent part of me. And that came in my life much before my profession and other things.
Correct. But your father being in the army, I'm sure he spent a lot of time away from you. Did that affect you in any way? And I know that you lost him when you were 17, but even till you were 17, did you get much time to spend with him? Did you get much time to learn from him? What was it
I
like?
did because, he had taken premature retirement, and before he was joining the UN, I spent a lot of time with him till my class, between class 8 to class 12th.
Okay.
And a lot of what I am today is because of his teachings. He was a voracious reader. I still have at least 500 to 600 books that he read, which are there with me, and I keep on reading them. He read a lot about Christianity, Sikhism, a lot about metaphysics. He was a big believer in the power of mind. And he only taught me one thing, that, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And he also taught me that, life is all about, peaks and valleys. And when you are at a peak, remember the valley will come. And when you are in the valley, please understand that, the worst is over and the best times are going to come. And a lot of people quote that, but he kind of lived that. And the army at that point in time did not have a lot of money.
Correct.
So we led a very disciplined life. We were very happy having a Coke or a sandwich or an orange bar here and there. And that made us far more contented with life. And, we could focus on sports. We could focus on many other extracurricular activities along with studies. And he was, one thing that he always told me is that it is always balance that is success. If you are good in one thing and you're not good in 10 other things, and if you can't have balance in your life, actually you're not successful.
Right.
So there's been a lot of me, what I am today is because of the things that he told me. And he told in a manner that they are ingrained, because it was not a lecture, but it was a very practical way of kind of explaining things on a day-to-day basis.
Was your grandfather also in the army or any?
No, my grandfather was in the police.
Okay.
Yes.
So your grandfather was in the police, your dad was in the army.
Yes.
You didn't want to go into the...
Actually, my father did want
You to go
me
there.
to go to
Okay.
the army, and he felt that, enough of army, and, India was opening up. And he always wanted me to be a chartered accountant, because
Okay.
chartered accountant was quite respected.
Yeah.
I became a finance professional, so somewhere there. And I have no qualms in saying that he was really not interested that I should go in the army. He said, we've done enough for the country. And by adding and giving taxes, you do enough for the country.
Yeah.
So do it in a different way.
And you're creating wealth and you're creating advancement of India in a way where it is required. But now I want to switch gears and go into what's currently happening in India, right? The government is heavily privatizing a lot of its properties, right? Like, for example, the airports were privatized, which went to the Adani group, a lot of them. Ports are being privatized. A lot of other things are being privatized. What are your thoughts on, first of all, government privatizing these public spaces, especially real estate, and there being one dominant party that is sort of being able to take over all of this?
It's a complicated question. There is nothing wrong in privatizing. A capitalist society, things should be privatized, because when it privatizes, there is competition. When there is competition, you try and improve. When there is no competition, you don't try and improve. So most of the developed economies are privatized. And that's why they are developed economies, because the consumer is the focus. When consumer is the focus, the consumer goes to the best player. And that is when the market participants start improving on their proposition. What is the value proposition? What are the features of the product? What experience you want to give people to an airport, for example. And we know how Air India was earlier, and when Indigo came, how did Indigo disrupt? Because they could give experience which was phenomenal. And they had to compete. And that's why Air India got privatized, because, the government has multiple limitations, but the biggest limitation is, you are, a government job is a job of entitlement. You know that if I'm here, this is what I will get. I might not get sacked easily for a non-performance till the time I screw up majorly. The other part is that, yes, going to one person is something that is of concern. Unlike a US where there are multiple large corporate players who compete, here number of large players are not that too many. And maybe it is a process, Rohit. It has started. I think over a period of 5 to 10 years, when India's economy kind of goes to the third level, obviously you reach a $5 trillion GDP, I'm sure there will be other corporates that will kind of come up and become large and would have the ability to participate in this privatization game. Till that time, you have asked a very, very sensible and a question to ponder, because I never thought like this, that yes, there is only not even a handful who's kind of taking advantage of this process, and what can be done about it. So I'm sure something needs to be done about it, because it cannot be that you privatize and then you find that it is all in the hand of one or two people.
Exactly.
Yes, a very good question, and it's actually making me think.
Now, in a similar angle, right? You've how long have you been in Bangalore for?
I've been in Bangalore for around 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and you're familiar with Bangalore, I would say?
Yes.
So, even in Bangalore, why is it so difficult to get things like, for example, a flyover is not getting constructed quickly, a rail network is not getting constructed quickly, roads keep breaking? Why is it like, I want to understand from a property developer's perspective.
These are the vagaries of a democracy. See, what happens is, democracy has many positives, but one of the challenges is that we all know that there is vote politics. And for that, many things do not get prioritized. And people tend to get away with it, especially a city like Bangalore. And why only Bangalore? Even Mumbai, the kind of contribution these two cities give to the government in terms of taxes is phenomenal. Job creation is phenomenal. But unfortunately, these are the cities where the infrastructure is the poorest. And nobody is able to do anything substantial about it, is because the Indian voter memory is too short, and maybe the voter is too tolerant, and there are no alternatives. Now, till the time I came into real estate, right? And at that point in time, people from banking were not moving to real estate. How many bankers have moved into real estate? Because, they said, as I said, you're moving from an organized to an highly unorganized sector, where people thought there is a lot of corruption, where people thought, things are not done right, where people thought the developer and the authorities are hand in glove. We don't know whether we'll get our property on time. RERA wasn't there, regulator wasn't there. But finally, a regulator came, and today things are far better in real estate. And it is because of RERA that home sales have also gone up, because people know that if I buy a property and if it is RERA registered, I will get the delivery of the property. Otherwise, the developer or the other player will get reprimanded.
For the audience, could you please explain RERA?
RERA is the real estate, regulator.
Okay. Interesting. So now when it comes to property development in general, right? What again the real estate agency, whichever is developing, has to work with the government in some capacity to get things done, right? Until you have government support, it's very difficult to get, especially a project like Bhartiya City done in a city like Bangalore. What is it that is the government supportive towards such initiatives, or are they sort of hesitant in because it could take away things from the locals of the state? You get what I mean?
Not really. I think government is quite supportive, and Bangalore has been Bangalore because it is the boiling pot of the country. You have people from everywhere, all states. And I think Karnataka people are amazing people, and a lot of credit to the government to kind of make Bangalore in specific so inclusive. And obviously, you need homes, you need offices, because that's where the growth is coming from, right? If you have offices, people are working there, people need a home to stay.
Correct.
And an integrated township, especially after COVID, is the way forward. And we always thought that integrated townships is a way forward, so that you can cycle to work, you can walk to a hotel, you can walk to a mall, you can walk to a school, you can have a nice life. It is well designed. And imagine if there were more integrated townships during COVID, many things could have been avoided, because you are shopping inside, you are playing inside, you are working inside, you are studying inside, you are exercising inside, and it's a city within a city.
Right.
And it's a 15-minute city, as we call it, and we call it a city of joy. And now, after this, lots and lots of people are trying to come into integrated townships. But I think the government is very supportive, and the government now is really forward-looking. And as you've seen Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US, the focus is development.
Correct.
And the focus is AI, which is artificial intelligence, and America and India.
Yeah.
And America is not doing any favor to India, because they know that we are now an important power with whom they need to partner for.
They have no option, but
they don't have an option. They are not doing a favor, because they don't have an option.
Correct.
Either within America or outside of it.
Yeah.
And the government is very supportive, especially the Karnataka government.
So do you think integrated townships is the way to go?
Absolutely, it is the way to go.
But don't you think it sort of creates a community which is restricted to itself?
See, it's like this, because you look at how the US works. People stay in suburbs.
Right.
They move from suburbs to the town on weekdays. Right?
Right.
And they are back in the suburbs on the weekends.
Right.
Right? So we are becoming like that. That those integrated townships will become the suburbs, which have a good quality of life. And you go to a CBD, or you go to an offices, or you go to offices within the integrated townships, and you come back because you need a better quality of life. Because spending, say 2 hours a day traveling is a complete waste of time, and is not very good for your health as well.
Yeah.
Especially for cities like Bangalore. You know how much time we can take within CBD to travel 5 kilometers, maybe an hour at times.
Correct.
So it is a necessity now. It is a hygiene that you stay close to work, you stay close to school. And then if you want to go somewhere for a party or for a recreation or for something, you go. But that doesn't happen every day.
Interesting. Now, there are a lot of startups that are coming up that are focusing on fractional investing in real estate, right? So that is basically that instead of buying, people can't afford properties in general, right?
Yeah.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
So instead, these startups are giving people option to invest in parts of a particular real estate, right? There are some that start with 25 lakhs. There are some that also start with 10,000, 20,000. What do you think about that? Do you think it's the way to go?
I am quite excited about it.
Okay.
I know a couple of startups whom I am also advising who are getting into this. And we soon might have a regulation coming in from a government which will support this.
Interesting.
Because finally, young people like you, say a 25-year-old guy who has today 5 lakh rupees, he has no other option but to invest in a capital market or to buy gold. But tomorrow, if you have an option to participate in the real estate, which gives you stability, which is less volatile, can give you a regular income, because if you invest in a commercial kind of a fractional ownership, why will you not? And it gives you the best diversification. And with fractional ownership, you get liquidity because you can sell it. It's like a mutual fund. You are selling it, I am buying it. So finally, this is the sign of an evolving economy. And I think fractional ownership, people have been talking about for the last 10 years. People have been acting on it for the last 5 years. Real execution has happened in the last 12 months. And I feel that in a year's time, we will surely have a government regulation which will support this.
Yeah.
And that will build confidence in the consumer that now I can invest in fractional ownership because now I know my money will come back. Because today people who are hesitant to invest is because they don't know if they invest, will they be able to liquidate that money or not?
Right.
Like you invest in mutual fund not because of the mutual fund company, but because of SEBI.
Right.
Because SEBI is regulating them. And there's been a whole lot of a due diligence process before this company became an AMC.
It gives more security.
Yes,
it gives more
before
confidence.
they became an AMC. And they have these fund managers.
Right.
And this is where your investment is going. There is a regular reporting. There is a weekly reporting. There is a monthly reporting. There is a daily reporting. And that is why we today quickly invest in a mutual fund. Because we know our interest is safeguarded.
Right.
In fractional ownership, we don't know whether our interest is safeguarded or not.
It's a new space.
Yes. So a savvy investor, maybe a guy like me will say, okay, I'll invest. I know these people and I know how it works. And I'll invest 5-10 lakhs. But maybe a guy like you will say, I don't know. I don't know these people and whether my investment is secure or not. So the moment the government comes out with a regulation, I think this is going to flourish a lot and it is going to give a big fillip to the real estate industry because number of participants will increase. Because
Right.
today you need a minimum 50 lakhs to buy a home. Say for example, just taking a number. But then you can also invest 5 lakhs or 2 lakhs.
Correct.
So number of consumers will increase. And if real estate does well, the economy does well. Because it is a connected industry. It is connected with labor, cement, steel.
Right.
Right? So many other industries are connected with real estate and infrastructure. And if real estate starts doing well, a lot of other things start doing well. And that can only happen if more people are participating in it.
Interesting. What is a futuristic project in real estate that you want yourself or you want someone to do it?
See, I think, well, the God lies in the next level of detail, right? And Indians, we are amongst the most intelligent species amongst other countries because, data, I'm talking of data, right?
Right.
Or maybe we are not as intelligent or we are very intelligent and we work also very hard.
Exactly.
Because our middle class thing which is ingrained in us and we have seen a lot of scarcity.
Yeah.
And that is why we want that, maybe we ourselves and our family ahead kind of has a better life. And that's why where we are. My dream project is to keep things simple. Have sustainable development, have green development. It's very important to see what is outside the home than just what is inside the home. One of the things that we follow in Bhartiya also is design. That a good design can make 100 or 1,000 square feet apartment look like 1,500. And a bad design can make a 1,500 square feet apartment look like 1,000. So focus on design, invest in innovation, invest in sustainable things, green, less carbon footprint, making it a happy place, which is very open, not very restrictive,
Right.
and gives a great feeling, which is a lot of green, lot of walking spaces, lot of spaces to cycle, and also do something which creates a happy neighborhood. Like, not just focus on amenities because people keep on saying we have a swimming pool, we have a gym, we have a, sauna, sports, which is fine. But maybe, if you look at the old cities, everything was an integrated township because
That's true.
within, look at a Chandigarh, look at a Patna, look at a Lucknow, look at, any small Jaipur, you could walk, your dry cleaner was very close,
Yeah.
your temple was very close, your tailor was very close, your school was very close,
Yeah.
your playground was very close, your friends were very close,
Mm.
the market was very close, but we didn't appreciate it at that point in time, right? and you had a great neighborhood. People could just walk into the other house without asking them, eat food, come back and tell their parents that we've had food.
Correct.
I think that inclusivity needs to be created, which is a challenge. Brick and mortar design, everybody can create, but I really want to create.
You want a community.
Community which is emotionally connected, which goes back to the way our original society was, which is kind of withered away because of this,
Capitalistic
urbanization.
Correct.
So you can urbanize, but you still live together and you live in apartments together. But why don't people meet each other as much as they can meet, or they used to meet earlier?
I think that's happened a lot, especially in Bangalore, where people from all over the world,
Yes,
or at least all over the country, have
even
come.
all over the world. You're right.
Correct. People have come here. They have to make a better life, to have better opportunities. But then all of them are disconnected.
So
from
I
each
think,
other.
yes, as a developer, if I have to, create something, I would want to focus on, building a bond within the community.
Yeah.
And trying to add softer aspects to the society, and figure out ways in which, people engage more. Today we keep on saying the content needs to be engaging. We are so worried about the content to be engaging, but we still don't want people to engage too much with each other. The content is engaging, but it is on an electronic device.
No,
And the moment you are together, you don't know how to engage. Because you are very comfortable typing, you're very comfortable shooting, but you're very uncomfortable having a conversation.
Correct.
Where you engage and it is a pleasant conversation, because most of the times our conversation are how well I am doing or how badly I am doing.
Correct.
The economic aspect of our life has taken a front seat. Plus, even within our families, we have become very less grateful, because all the good things we take for granted. But anything bad that happens, we tend to discuss those things more, right? So I think there is a whole lot of thing that needs to be done where we need to unlearn.
That's a great message for the youngsters that are going to be watching this. We like when you're talking about how we focus on engagement and content, but not in real life. It really hit me, because that's my life, right? So very interesting. Now, have you been able to have that sort of atmosphere in Bhartiya city?
I would love that, Rohit, you come. I should not be, saying it myself, because there is a conflict of interest, right?
Right.
But yes, it is definitely a class apart. And with our every next development, we'll try to improve on it. But it is a community, we call it a city of joy.
Right.
And it's truly come up the way it was envisaged.
Now, in your professional career, you have done a bunch of things. You started off as a finance guy, you moved into real estate, then in between you did sales and everything, right? And you, in the recent years, you have jumped into music. You have a Spotify verified profile, which is very interesting. A Saregama labeled songs, right? How many have you released?
I have released 3 Saregama songs.
3 Saregama songs. And are you working on more?
It takes a lot of time. The inertia is going back. But yes, I'm now working on an original song. I don't want to do a cover.
Okay.
So let's see how it goes.
Good luck for that. Okay, that's one part of it. Then even more interesting, you are a best-selling author as well. You have written 2 books?
I've written 2 books.
How are you able to do so many things? I feel like I don't have time for so many different things. I don't know how you do. Please help me and the other youngsters understand. How do you dedicate so much time to different things and still be able to flourish in all of them?
See, it's something based on focus on inputs, not on outputs. So the first book I started writing was in 2015.
Okay.
But I released in 2021.
Wow, 6 years in making. Wow.
So it's like an iceberg. You have to be an iceberg, only 10% up and 90% down.
But tell me one thing, 6 years in making of a book, but in 6 years, if I think about what life was in 2015 to what life was in 2021, things just flipped around.
And that's why it took 6 years. Imagine if I would have released that book in 2019 and then COVID would have struck. That book would have become irrelevant.
Yes.
So focus on inputs. And the amount of time, because I wanted to see when a book is being authored by an industry expert, it has to be
World class.
world class, right?
Yeah,
It cannot be, because it is a double-edged sword.
exactly.
And similarly, I've been singing since college days.
Right.
I just launched my new book, Master Residential Real Estate, which is now a #1 bestseller. Both are #1 bestsellers.
Right.
And the new one is completely different. But here I took only 2 years, right? But it's been a journey from 2017 to 23, which is 8 years, right? And I have been singing since my college days.
Okay.
And finally, I used to feel that, maybe one day I'll record a song. And then I met somebody and they said, you sing well, why don't you record? I recorded that song, first song, Purani Jeans, which was launched by Kunal Ganjawala.
Right.
And I met him and he heard me in a party and he said, you sing very well. So I said, yes, I'm releasing this song, will you kind of launch it? And he said, yes.
Wow.
And he launched it, and it's on YouTube, and then one after the other, I did 3-4 songs. Saregama really liked it. They reached out to me. They said, why don't you do this cover of ours? And why don't you do this? And I was pleasantly surprised and shocked. And I have never learnt music. And
all of these things are purely out of passion, because I know you don't need
totally
money.
out of passion.
Yeah.
Totally out of passion. And it is also because there is a lot about life which is not just money. Now, as Shah Rukh Khan says that, you can talk about philosophy after you've earned money.
Yeah.
But, well, I disagree with him, because how much money is enough? 1 crore is enough, 10 crores is enough, 100 crores is enough. It is also about satisfaction, because finally, beyond a point, you can't now eat a laptop, right?
Correct.
You can go to, now you go to Switzerland. People say, oh, you've been to Switzerland, been there so many times. We have to go to South America. Somebody goes to South America. Oh, South America is okay, but, I think we need to go to Greenland, or we need to go to Japan. So actually, I'll tell you, I don't get too fascinated by this travel thing and all that. I've done enough of it. And I feel it's more about living your life and doing things that you like. And as I said, I am very fortunate that I was able to do it. But whatever I want to do it at a level that it is good.
Yeah.
It is not just being done. You can't sing, but you are releasing a single just because,
You can.
you can. So I felt good after my first single. If Saregama comes to me and says, you sing, it's like, I felt I must have done something right. If Kunal Ganjawala says, I want to launch it, I must have done something right. And then if somebody says, yeah, he's an author, he's a singer, he's a CEO, when I look at it, I didn't plan.
Okay, so I'll give you an option, okay?
Yeah.
You have these 3 things, which you have to choose one. Which one would you choose?
I think I'll choose singing.
Nice.
It has to be singing.
It has to be.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you're a family man also.
I'm a family man. I think I am much more of a family man than one should be.
Huh.
Yeah, because I think men are quite underrated. Let's look at our fathers. Let's look at ourselves. And the whole world talks about the sacrifice of women, of mother. But I think there is much less spoken about the sacrifice of men, fathers, brothers, especially the middle class, people who have really worked very hard for their families. But the beauty is, if you don't have a family, you can't work hard, because they are the wing, they are air or the wind beneath your wings.
Right.
I am a family man, but I think in India, mostly everybody is a family man. That's the way we are. That's our society.
Correct.
So I'm not doing anything which is much out of the box, which others are not doing. I think all of us, 99% of people in India are family men.
Interesting. What is the future now for India in general? Like, we see a lot of development happening. We see a lot of changes that are happening, privatization, a lot more governments focus on real estate development in general of the country. Where do you think is the biggest benefit for India in the future?
See, you need to understand, Rohit, what has happened is that look at the world. America and the West, inflation. Home loans in America are at 6.5%
Wow.
to 7%. India, they are 8.5%. If you look at history for the last 70 years, the difference between home loans in America and India has been 5 to 6%. Today, it is 1.5%. Right? Then you look at Russia and Europe, there is a war going on. Then you look at the environment in Middle East, other than UAE and Saudi.
Yeah.
You know, lesser said, the better. Right?
Right.
China has its own problems.
Correct.
A lot of new economy companies have moved out of China. So, it is India. And 70% of the India population is a working population. It is a young population.
28.
It is a very well-educated population because our parents, as I said, we were talking about a family man. We are only obsessed about teaching our kids, getting them married, and then finally asking them to buy a home. And if these three things are done as a parent, especially of a middle-class family, the guy thinks that, main Ganga naha liya hu.
Right.
And my son or my daughter is settled.
Okay.
So we are educated.
Hmm.
We are young. We want to work. We understand technology. We are pioneers of technology, which is leading the way. We need homes. That is where the, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana came in.
Correct.
Right? You need 20 lakh homes. So real estate has to happen. Infrastructure has to be built and is being built. 500 kilometers a day of roads are being made right now.
Right.
You have 100 smart cities. Finally, they will come into play. Right? And the world is looking at us. You have 500 Boeing order being given by Indigo.
Correct.
Is not a joke. The largest order, I think it gave to Boeing or Airbus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that is coming from India. So, the convergence and our strength has become, we are the most populated country in the world.
Correct.
1.4 billion.
Correct.
And it will keep on increasing. Education is there. Domestic consumption is our biggest strength. We are not only dependent on exports.
Correct.
That is why you need 500 Boeings, because people are traveling.
Yeah.
People want to save time, because now they understand that if you save time, you save money, rather than spending 2 days in a train.
Yeah.
And that will have its own set of consumers.
Correct.
Right? So, we are in such a situation that there is buoyancy. You are putting the mug down, and the moment you will leave the mug, it will come up, because there is buoyancy. There is so much of positive pressure
being built,
big build, and everybody is looking at each other and everybody is doing well, that the country is bound to do well and the world is going to converge. I feel in the next 10 years, brain drain is going to be less.
What is brain drain?
When people move abroad, like NRIs and all.
Right.
And the biggest challenge is our infrastructure. The day we can sort out our infrastructure, our lives will become far more easier. See, India is the only country where free of cost, a bread is delivered to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Where do you get that? You are taking Swiggies and Zomatos for granted, but where do you get that? Nowhere.
True.
It is just that what we have, we are not able to appreciate.
Yeah, one of my friends was telling me he shifted to Sweden recently for studies. They have no concept of late night deliveries. They have no concept.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They are lonely
shut
places.
down.
They're shut down. People, you don't see anybody after 7 o'clock in the evening. So, we are not really appreciating what we have, the way the technology has disrupted, the way startups have come. Look at what you're doing. This couldn't have been done 10 years back.
Exactly.
And in the next 10 years, and the moment infrastructure issue is kind of resolved, you will see a lot of multinationals and lot of industries across the world moving to the country. Tesla is coming here. Apple has come here. Kia Motors is here. Things are moving. Obviously, it takes time.
Right.
But the next decade is of India.
Interesting. Okay, I'm coming to the last segment of the podcast now. I want to play a quick game. I'll throw some words. You tell me if it is good or bad, up or down. Okay? First is investing in the stock market. Up. Okay. Investing in real estate. Up. Okay. Investing in fractional real estate. Down. Okay. Why do you say so?
At this point in time, because whatever I'm saying is I'm saying at this point in time.
Right. Investing in gold. Up. Okay. What is there anything else that youngsters should stay away from in terms of investing their money?
They should nothing much. Even a little bit of crypto also. I don't mind. I don't.
You're into crypto.
I'm into crypto, but it has to be long term.
Yeah.
I've not lost money in crypto.
Interesting.
Yes.
And what do you think of the new generation of alternative investment methods? Like, for example,
Actually, fractional ownership also I'll give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
If I think about it, yes, I will give a thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the new way of alternative investment where, like, before people used to buy rare art pieces and collectibles, but now it's like buying Jordans and watches and Supremes. Have you heard of all of these brands?
Yeah, I've heard of that. I have a 19-year-old girl.
Okay.
So I've heard of that. But I think, people are going... it's good. I like the way millennials and Gen Z live.
It feels like you're holding back something.
No, I was just thinking, and I realized that maybe, at times, just because we were not like this does not mean it is not right.
Interesting.
Right.
So
If somebody feels like wearing a Jordan, imagine if you have to die tomorrow and you could have worn a Jordan and you've not worn it. So I learn a lot from the millennials and the Gen Z. I want to be like them because there are many things they teach you.
Right.
They teach you a lot of things. The reason people find them weird is because, or different is because there is a gap of generation.
Correct.
But I want to stay young. I want to kind of learn from them. And if I want them to learn from me, if I want you to learn from me, why should I not learn from you?
Sure.
I can't have this studio. I have not made a studio like this. I have not done a podcast like this. I have not done such beautiful creatives that you have on your Instagram handle, which I'm going to copy, right? And so on and so forth. So we were not doing all this. So yeah, go ahead, live your life, be within your means. Jitni chadar hai, utni phailao. Don't kind of go crazy and become a gulam to a debt. But if you can afford it, why not? Save for 3 months and buy a Jordan.
But it's become an investment, like people don't buy, like,
that's a myth. Investment, because you want to justify buying a Jordan.
it's like a rare art, like how people would buy rare art pieces before to let it stay for years and then sell it.
But see, art does not get depreciated because it is just hanging. Jordans get depreciated because you're walking on them.
No, people don't wear them,
So then they should not buy because, that's stupidity. You're
Right.
buying a Jordan for investment purposes. Better buy a gold coin.
Right.
It doesn't take space. It has to appreciate. It is highly liquid. Whom are you going to go and sell a Jordan till the time you don't have a marketplace?
Right.
So wear Jordan to enjoy life rather than as an investment. Because that's like stupid. That is like just trying to make yourself or convince yourself that I'm buying it because it will increase.
Right.
Right? That's like a fad. That's not fashion.
Interesting. So, okay, my last question, actually not my last, I have one more question after this, but my second last question to you is, what do you want to tell people, especially because you want to talk to the Gen Z and the young millennials? What is your suggestion to them if they want to buy property, if they want to buy real estate, if they want to get into this industry?
Real estate, my suggestion is go all out. Plan yourself. Because let's look back. Real estate is a long-term asset, right? Imagine what your grandfather bought, at what price he bought and what is the price today.
True.
It is 50 years.
True.
Imagine what your father bought 30 years back. He bought it for 1 lakh. It is 1 crore because it is 30 years. Real estate can never let you down. And I want the younger generation, the smarter people from good MBA colleges, chartered accountants, engineers to get into real estate because real estate is going to boom for the next 10, 20 years because infrastructure is required, investment is required, homes are required, and talent is required. And this is the period because the industry will grow. Like you said, when I joined banking, I did well because banking as an industry was also growing. So I had an inertia. So right now there is an inertia. People getting into real estate will do well because there is inertia, there is innovation, there is new design coming up. better buildings coming up, lot of focus on sustainability, green buildings coming up, lot of research happening, and therefore my suggestion is definitely choose real estate as a career across residential, commercial, retail, hospitality, warehouse, industrial. There are so many aspects in real estate.
Correct.
And people will really do well because the industry, I have a strong belief, is going to do very well.
That's about people wanting to build a career in real estate. What about people that want to buy homes? What about people that want to invest in real estate? How should they go about it?
Because finally land does not get produced. So investment in real estate will not let you down. It is a matter of time. Sometimes you might get growth in 3 years, sometimes you might get growth in 10 years. And you should only invest a part of it because you have to do an asset allocation.
Correct.
You have to decide how much you want to put in gold, how much in equity, how much in real estate, how much you want to keep in cash for emergency, etc., etc. And if your asset allocation is there based on your profile, whether you are an aggressive customer, aggressive investor, or a moderate investor, or a conservative investor, are you 25 years, are you 50 years, are you 75 years? Do you want to conserve capital? Do you want to grow capital? Or do you want a mix of both growth as well as conservation? Real estate will always come as an investment as class.
Yeah.
If you want recurring income, you can, buy a commercial property or even a residential property. Rental yields in Bangalore are 4 to 5%. That is equal to a fixed deposit rate. Plus you get capital appreciation.
Right.
So real estate as an investment asset class is really going to do well because the residential rental yields have also increased. They were never like this in India. They were always between 2 to 3%. Today they are anywhere between 3 to 6%.
So if a person like me, young, who wants to invest in real estate, what would be your suggestion for me to start?
See, if we are talking about 5 to 10 lakhs, as I said, that is why I rethought about my fractional ownership. Look at a good fractional ownership platform, invest there, ensure that, it is well regulated, they have the right controls, compliances, disclosures, and you figure out what kind of returns they are you are expected. Otherwise, buy a home as an investment. Don't buy a bigger home. Go, say, buy a studio apartment. Studio apartments, it's a 400, 500 square feet apartment. You'll get it for anywhere between 30 to 45 lakhs, depending on the micro market in Bangalore. Right? You just need 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs of down payment. Some would be your savings. Some you can borrow from your friends and family. The rest, you take a home loan. You pay an EMI of 20, 25 lakhs over a period of, now you have home loans for 40 years.
Right.
So your EMIs will get reduced. And say on a 35 lakh property, you will get a rent of 18 to 20,000, which is like, 2.4, it's like 40, it's like 5 to 6%. So it's paying up for your EMI and capital appreciation is happening. That's how you begin your journey.
Interesting. My last question to you. You have had your entrepreneurial side, heavy entrepreneurial side, right? What is your recommendation to the new age people that are either trying to become entrepreneurs themselves, business people themselves, or even jumping into the corporate life? Because there is the whole thing of work-life balance, mental health, taking care of your mental health. Me personally, I feel like a lot of talk about having your mental health sorted sort of takes away from people working hard towards what they need to do, right? I don't know if you can balance both of them, but in your experience...
Rohit, I think you're thinking on the right lines. Mental health was always an issue and was always never an issue. You think our parents didn't have mental health issues. What is mental health? When you are stressed, some people call it stress, some people call it, mental health. But by the end of the day, no pain, no gain.
Exactly.
You have to decide what you want from life. You want mental health, then you might not have economic health. And you might have economic health and you might not have mental health. You might not have both. You might have both of them. This is a very subjective way of looking at things. But no pain, no gain. You will have to... See, आपको लाइफ में बल नहीं चाहिए कुछ पाने के लिए. आपको बलिदान चाहिए.
Nice.
You have to sacrifice something to get something because it is a zero-sum game.
Correct.
You need a girlfriend in life. You are compromising on time early in life, right? Later in life, you don't have time for the girlfriend.
Correct.
So it is all about a zero-sum game. That is why I feel don't take life so seriously.
Yeah.
Focus on the balance, but also focus on having a good, fulfilling career. You might not get a job which gives you, say, 2 lakh rupee a month to begin with. But if you get a job which gives you 1 lakh rupee a month and it gets you time for your hobbies, etc., be happy. However, my last input is that focus on inputs. Don't focus on output. Input is in our control. Output is not in our control. Output is a function of hard work plus destiny plus right place at the right time, etc., etc., etc. Somebody liking your face, you bumping into somebody in a party, so on and so forth. But input is in your hand.
Correct.
Just be at it. Be resilient. Don't be tough on yourself. That, I'm trying so hard and I'm not getting it, because you will get it when you have to get it. But people who have the ability to focus on inputs and inputs finally are the people who end up being so-called successful in their own eyes and in the eyes of their loved ones and others. So the clarity has to be there that you cannot be very tough on yourself. People become tough on themselves when they focus on outputs. They're only thinking about, oh, if I do this, I will get that. They have to only focus on what all things I need to do and focus on execution.
Right.
Don't focus on perfection, because perfection is the biggest enemy of execution.
Right.
Because you're saying, let me have the best thing in place and then I will start. Let me have the best pen and then I will start writing. Let me have the, best shirt, and that is when I will go out for a party.
Yeah.
So that, I feel, is complete. A lot of things have been written about perfectionism and excellence. I think there is nothing to do with perfection and excellence. Go out, look at the tree, look at the river, look at the mountain, look at it, people, nose, lips, ears, everything is different. Nothing is perfect.
Right.
And yet when it all comes together, it becomes beautiful. So don't be tough on yourself. Focus on execution. Take the first step and then keep on doing things, and finally you will see for yourself, because something has to come out of it.
Correct.
And that is how it comes out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashwinder, for sharing so much knowledge with us. I'm really, really glad that I was able to have you here. And I hope you enjoyed this
I
conversation.
loved it. I really loved it. And it's so great to be here on your podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, always. And guys, don't forget to check out his profile. I will link his books, his music, his LinkedIn profile. They can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
You can connect with him on LinkedIn. Please do check out his music. I did, and it's still stuck in my head. So thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel, and goodbye.